big moves coming for the San Antonio Spurs. A report comes out linking the Spurs to multiple point guards, possibly to replace Chris Paul on the roster. And we're going to break it down here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. And if you guys haven't yet, make sure you guys take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment by hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss all the great content that me, Josh, and Brian have for you. But 3 potential Chris Paul replacements for the San Antonio Spurs. The 3 potential replacements for CP3 the San Antonio Spurs could target this off season. Chris Paul started all 82 games. Just the second time he's done that in his 20-year career. He averaged 8.8 points, 3.6 rebounds, 7.4 assists this year. To get a wide view of exactly what Chris Paul did, as I said, the points, rebounds, and assists, over a steal a game, shot 43% from the floor about, and almost 38% from 3. He was a quality three-point shooter, one of the best that we had on the roster. But as that said, 20-year career, we don't know if he's planning on retiring. It doesn't look like he's going to, but depending on what the Spurs do this offseason, Chris Paul might not be coming back to the roster, and there are multiple people who are going to be able to replace him. While Paul was an asset for the Spurs, he is unlikely to be able to receive the 28 minutes a game he received this season. That's also another thing. Stephon Castle, as we all love Stephon Castle here in Spurs Nation, he needs to start. Is Chris Paul going to be fine coming off of the bench? De'Aaron Fox clearly is on that roster, so if he's not in the backcourt, he clearly can't start. I mean, Castle could move to the 3, but you have a guy in Harrison Barnes who does more for the roster at this point than Chris Paul. But as well as a starting spot. It's also unclear if Paul would be able to receive a similar salary for the Spurs, making $10.5 million. This season, the Spurs have just $14.1 million in non-tax and $5.1 million in biannual exceptions. So the Spurs, with them getting Fox and the fact that they're looking to extend Fox, obviously Wemby's contract's coming on the horizon with Devin Vassell getting a good chunk of money there. The Spurs are in a great cap position where they have flexibility to move. They're not like in the second apron or anything, but obviously when it comes to the lesser tier stars, or players, I should say, stars of their role on the roster, they don't need to be expending a bunch of money, especially when you can get a guy who can do maybe 90-95% of Chris Paul at a fraction of the price. But Paul will likely look to start elsewhere or go to a team that might have, in his eye, a better chance at an NBA championship. The Spurs will need someone to back up De'Aaron Fox and some veteran presence in the locker room, and there are a few intriguing options that could fit the bill. The first one we're going to talk about here is Tyus Jones. Just made $3 million this past season for the Phoenix Suns. After lasting around a very late into free agency, he signed a veteran minimum with the Suns. On the season, we had Tyus Jones putting up 10 points, 5 rebounds, shooting 45% from the floor and 41% from three-point land. He's only 6'1". Obviously, Chris Paul's not that tall either, but Tyus Jones does put effort in on the defensive side of the basketball. Plus, he is a good quality shooter, so off the bench, you have another guy who could help off of Victor Wembanyama, but on his strong side, so Wemby can actually operate in the post. Tyus Jones is in a position to where he could come to this team maybe for a veteran minimum, maybe $4 million, whatever the veteran minimum price is, or roughly around that stretch. And I think that he could be a good fit for our roster because he plays sound basketball. He is going to go there, put in as much effort as possible, but he's not going to do too much for this roster. He's not going to try to do too much on the floor. And his production took a bit of a dip as the Sun team that featured a lot of ball-dominant perimeter players. You have KD, you have Devin Booker, you have Bradley Beal. So he doesn't fully fit into exactly what they do there, but he was able to showcase what he did. But the previous season, Jones saw 12 points and 7 assists. So he truly can run a second unit with high-level basketball play at the point guard position. But Jones isn't particularly proficient at getting to the paint, but he is a high-level passer and a lethal shooter. Jones shot 41.5% from the three-point line each of the last 2 seasons. So, quality shooter, you get a guy who can help the team operate at a high level when De'Aaron Fox is on the bench. But The second guy that I want to talk about, this guy, another guy who is very talented. Monte Morris has some of the best ball security in the entire NBA. Although he's received much less playing time over the past 2 seasons, in his 8-year career, Morris averages 7.7 turnovers a game, just 1 per 36 minutes, and boosts career turnover percentage of 8.0. So you're going to get a quality backup in Monte Morris, a guy who can go out there and make sure the ball is taken care of. You're not going to get empty possessions. So you're going to get that Chris Paul effect in a guy like Monte Morris. Morris was teammate of Jones this past season for the Suns and was in and out of an unstable rotation, split time between Detroit and Minnesota last season. Prior to that, Morris was a starter for the Nuggets in 22-23 for the Washington Wizards. Those 2 seasons, Morris averaged 11.5 points, 3.2 rebounds, 4.8 assists, shooting 48% from the floor and 39 from 3 on this season here. He just put up 5 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. Again, inconsistent minutes, so he wasn't able to get in the game and get into the flow of things. Only 29 years of age, going to be 30 going into next season, shooting 43% from the floor and 36 from the three-point line. So another guy who can give you quality minutes off the bench, really control things, get to the paint, as you see, 39% over the 2 seasons there, 36 last season, not on the high level of quantity, but I think another guy who could come in here and truly give the Spurs a backup veteran point guard and become a voice in the locker room, because he has been in multiple positions. He played with the Nuggets in 22. I mean, he's been in playoff runs. He's been in moments. So Tyus Jones and Monte Morris are 2 guys that I think could very much benefit what the Spurs do. And the third one, this one's interesting, Jevon Carter. While Jones and Morris are both offensive-oriented picks, Carter's main value comes on the defensive side of the ball. He built a reputation as a fierce defender, and when playing his best, he's shown us a capable jump shot. 6'1" stature tends to force him to play point guard, but he really has more of an off-ball guard. And I understand he is 6'1", but we have such versatile defenders that we got a guy like Stephon Castle who can play. He can play guard the 1, guard the 2. If Jevon Carter can play kind of that combo guard, even along De'Aaron Fox, 6'1" doesn't mean you can't play defense in this league. So this is someone who could come in here and just fit what the Spurs do, and is a defensive-first team. However, that could play to the Spurs' favor, as he could play a lot of his minutes with Castle, as I just said, who would amplify playmaking ability and brings more of that size at 6'6" to handle longer guards defensively, or larger guards defensively and longer. But as a backcourt of Carter and Castle for a few stretches of a game could be a lockdown pairing. Carter has spent the last 2 seasons in Chicago where his offense has struggled, but prior to that with Milwaukee, where in 2023 he played a career-high 81 games and a career-high 22.3 minutes. He was knocking down 42.1% of his three-point shot. And we go over to here, we can see what he did on the season this year. 4.3 points, 1.1 rebound, 1.1 assist. Again, not great efficiency, but you have to think of also what shots are you getting, what kind of offense are you playing in. You're playing with Wemby, you're playing with De'Aaron Fox, you're playing with Stephon Castle, which means you're going to get open corner threes, you're going to get open wing threes, and as we saw when he played with the Milwaukee Bucks, who was he playing with? He was playing with Giannis, who gets downhill, teams are going to double. He was playing with Chris Middleton, a guy who can get his own shot in the mid-range. He was playing a little bit, I believe, 23, so I think he was playing with Drew Holiday at that point. Maybe if it was 22-23 playing with Drew Holiday, if it was 23-24, he was not playing with Drew Holiday. But anyways, he was playing with Middleton, he was playing with Giannis Antetokounmpo. With that, you have a guy who can knock down 40% plus of his three-point shots when in the right system. So 3 options there that I think could be quality backups for a Chris Paul replacement, and guys who you could get at a much cheaper price that can do a lot of what Chris Paul can do. Are they as good as passers as Chris Paul? No. But can they shoot the same level that Chris Paul did this year for the team, shooting close to 38%? We see that they both have the capabilities. All 3 of them really have the capabilities, that and Jevon Carter, if he has in the right position. But Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that we should resign Chris Paul if he would be willing to come off the bench and give you a more friendly contract? Do you think we even need a backup point guard at all with Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox being there? Do we think the option could be Blake Wesley off the bench or someone like that already on our roster? Let me know what you guys think about these point guard positions, or point guard options, I should say, at the position. This has been Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll be seeing all of you guys very soon.